This is Thriving Thoughts, a podcast that teaches you how to change your thoughts so you can change your life. I'm Dr. Sherri, clinical psychologist turned thought coach. In each 5-minute episode of the Thriving Thoughts podcast, we will discover one lie we believe about ourselves, others, or the world that lures us into a surviving mindset. Then we'll learn the truth that leads us into a thriving thought world. And to bridge the gap between knowing and doing, I'll teach you one practical thought tool you can start to use right away. Consider me your personal thought coach, and each episode your personal thought coaching session. I want you to thrive, to grow, flourish, and prosper. And here's your first truth. If you want to thrive, you have to choose to do the work. The daily deliberate work of changing the way you think so you can change your life. Welcome to the Thriving Thoughts community. Let's get ready to speak truth over the lies so we can thrive in any and every circumstance. Hey friend, I'm so glad you're here because if you are, this special episode is for you. I had my content for the show all planned out for the remainder of season 6. And as I was editing today's episode, I felt a nudge that said, nope, that's not it. So I opened up a blank Word document and penned these thoughts toward you. I wonder if you feel like you're where you thought you would be. You see, we're nearing the end of another year, and with it, there can be so many pressures. You might look back on New Year's resolutions you made at the beginning of the year that you desperately wanted to see through, but life just got in the way, got away from you, or just never seemed to let up. You know, you don't need me to tell you the same old year-end, New Year stuff that gets recycled year after year. There's plenty of messaging out there that gets you hyped up into thinking, I suppose more accurately, wishing, that 2022 will somehow be better, that this will finally be your year for breakthrough, that it's your year for great things to happen, that because it's a new year, there can be a new you. That's not why you're here. You're listening because you're hungry for a message of truth. You're thirsty for fresh perspectives that have the power to transform your life over time, not mere words that get you hyped up, creating unattainable goals, chasing unachievable outcomes, and most importantly, leaving you feeling like you're right back where you were. And not only did you not change what you had hoped to change, you're left deflated, muttering, "What's the point?" and realizing your reservoir of hope for true change is nearly dried up. Friends, the world is lying to you about greatness. The world is lying to you about how you can be fulfilled. The world leaves you chasing a carrot and feeling exhausted because it's always just out of reach. And the world keeps you distracted with promises of big changes, big improvements, big blessings from the truth of what's right in front of you. Popular messaging wants you to stay focused on what's next, and that robs you of taking control of right now. At the beginning of this year, I decided to write a list of things that I would like my days to be filled with in order for me to feel fulfilled, to feel satisfied, like I was on the right path. Well, that's because at the end of 2020, I was feeling somewhat aimless and uncertain. I just wasn't convinced that I was doing exactly what I needed to do. I didn't write a list of goals. I'd done that before. I didn't write a list of accomplishments or visions. Did that before too. But as I've grown in my thought work, I've become acutely aware of pouring my energy into that which I can control. I just wrote down a list of things I wanted to have in my life every day that I wanted to possess at the end of each day. I came up with 6: get wisdom, learn, create, speak, be a good steward, and play and relax. I want you to notice how different those are from any goals, resolutions, changes desired you may have envisioned in the past. These are things that I knew if I did them every day, I would be fulfilled. I would know I was on the right path. I'd be focusing on doing them, not on getting something else for doing them. And that's where I have to leave you. You'll have to tune in to episode 164 on Wednesday to hear about how I used these 6 things I would come to call compass points and how they've convinced me that I lived 2021 the most fulfilling path possible. I didn't say I got everything I wanted, didn't say my outcomes were radically changed, didn't say that they weren't either. I'm reading a book called Grit by Angela Duckworth, and in it she defines grit, with my liberal paraphrasing, of course, as the power to persevere. She shares case studies of highly successful people, and one thing they all had in common: they filled their days with what they loved and what they wanted to master. In other words, they focused on the everyday, not on big, far-sighted goals. She suggested then that greatness is the aggregate of mundanity. I'll leave you with this task. Write down your list. If you were to close your eyes at the end of each day knowing you had done everything you were gifted to do, everything you needed to do to execute that gifting, and everything you wanted to do, what would be on your list? Join me Wednesday for part 2 of When You're Right Where You Were, or at least you think you are. Until then, speak truth over the lies, and you will thrive in any and every circumstance.